Sorry, guys, I'm just looking on Spotify for the Iron Claw soundtrack. There it is.
A Monday warrior, mean strike.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Cold Brew Dive. Today we are diving into the new A24 film Iron Claw. This movie is written and directed by Sean Durkin, starring Zac Effron, Jeremy Allen White, Maxwell Jacob, Lilly James, amongst others. This film is inspired by the Von Erich brothers. They were in the early 1980s, really famous wrestling family. Little backstory of me: about 10 years ago when I was in film school, I got to do a little side gig of a local wrestling company. And so back then, of course, I was like a lot of people that just thought wrestling was fake. But once I got to see the behind the scenes and the amount of work that gets put into these performances and the amount of athleticism it takes and the risk that's involved, I gained a whole new respect for wrestling. I think that elevated this movie quite a bit for me, knowing and getting to see what it takes to become a very famous wrestler. It's like, as Zac Efron says in the movie, moving up in any corporate world, if you're fighting for a belt, it means that you've become a really good athlete and you become a really good performer, and the company has noticed that and is giving you a promotion. With that, The Iron Claw is an absolutely beautiful movie in showing the world of wrestling. There's a lot of one takes, a lot of beautiful cinematography. With that comes incredible writing and directing from Sean Durkin. And since there's such great written material in this movie, that gives all the actors terrific material to work with. Since I went into this movie knowing nothing about the Von Erich brothers, I thought the first hour of this film was just going to be an awesome sports movie with terrific music about how these brothers get along, have, yes, a hard dad, but how they're going to end up on top. So then when one tragic thing after another starts happening, it really hits you like a ton of bricks. That being said, this movie does a terrific job of showing the closeness of these brothers and showing how they came up in the wrestling world. One thing I thought was brilliant about the Iron Claw: it gets points across without beating you over the head with it. For example, a character will be going through something really dark in their head. It's not like they're having these long drawn out scenes of depression or the drug use they have. You can see in the actor's eyes, you can see in his mannerisms that he's truly going through something inside of his head, but his character is supposed to truly hide that because of the weight that his father and the world has put on them. That truly just made for a fascinating story. One thing about this that I really enjoyed is I saw it in a packed theater because it was an early screening. So I think there was a lot of wrestling fans in there that seemed to be alive during this time, and I saw the joy and the pain it brought to their faces reliving these moments. At the beginning of the film, Zac Efron is narrating and he talks about how this family is cursed. I remember thinking during the film, man, this family's not cursed at all, man. They have the whole world. And when one thing after another starts happening, I'm like, dang, that's yeah. But the theme of the movie is that this toxicness that the dad brings is what leads to everything going on. For the last 10 years, I've been a really big fan of Zac Efron. High School Musical came out when I was in high school, and I didn't really watch it. It was just a movie a lot of the girls were into. But then when he came out with a movie such as Neighbors, where I saw that this guy's actually a really talented actor, especially in the comedy realm. But then when he played Ted Bundy, I'm like, this guy really puts in the work to become a great actor. And I think that all comes to head here in The Iron Claw. This is Zac Efron's best performance, in my opinion. I hope he gets nominated for awards. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think he'll win. I think Mr. Killian Oppenheimer deserves that award, but I truly hope that Zac Efron gets the recognition he deserves. And alongside him, with all the other actors, they all are terrific. Maura Tierney, who's Doris, who plays the mother of the boys, there's a certain scene in this movie where she has to hide how sad she is, and I think it's a great camera shot and great acting by her. And it shows how this family dynamic is really bringing her down, but she has to keep it together. And that, once again, is the testament to the great writing and directing of this film. As far as issues with the movie, I mean, there's some things that happen that in my mind, I was like, I don't think this is how the story went. It seemed a little too much of a coincidence with the timing. And as I looked up the film afterwards, it was true that things were a little bit out of order. That was probably the only issue I had. So that took me out of the movie for a few seconds, but then I would get pulled right back in a few minutes later with the next scene that's going on because it was very riveting. So I'm going to go ahead and give The Iron Claw a 4 out of 5. At the beginning of the year, we all talk about how anticipated certain movies are to us. This was never on my radar. It's always great this time of year when you start to see movies that end up being a fantastic watch. This is one of those. I recommend everyone to go see it. If you have seen The Iron Claw, please comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it, and we will see you next time on The Movie Dive.